patterns. The question is, the British Conservatives and American Republicans will not be able to win elections in the future unless they find a way to appeal to ethnic minority voters. Assess this claim.
Okay, well, the first thing you're going to want to do with this question is you need to try and figure out why somebody would make this claim. It's quite a strong charge to say that the electoral fate of right-wing parties really lies in the hands of ethnic minority voters. This would suggest that there are some very important differences between ethnic minority voters and the majority, and that those differences are very electorally significant. So what you're going to want to look at is the change in the size of the population of minority voters. Are they becoming more significant over time? And the distinctiveness of their voting behaviour. Do we see evidence in both countries that minorities do vote in a distinctive pattern, that there is this barrier between minority voters and right-wing parties, and how significant is that in terms of its potential effect on election outcomes? The second thing you're going to want to think about here is to try and diagnose the underlying causes of that difference in voting behaviour between minority voters and the majority. As we see very often in this course, there are many possible causes for some of the complicated social phenomena we observe. There's many possible reasons why minority voters may be less willing than white voters to support right-wing parties. It could be to do with their economic circumstances, it could be to do with the kind of political and social values they hold, it could be to do with their experiences of prejudice or discrimination, or it could be to do with the kind of areas they live in or the kind of households they've grown up in. There are many possible factors here, and you'll need to, in a good essay answer, provide a nuanced assessment of multiple different possible causes and try and decide between them. A third thing you're going to want to think about here is the question gives you an umbrella term, ethnic minorities, but what we're talking about here are quite diverse populations, so you're going to want to see if you can unpack that broad category of minorities a little bit. Is it fair to just treat these groups as one sort of umbrella group? Are they distinctive as a mass, or are there important differences within minority groups between, for example, black and Latino voters in the US, or between Indians, Pakistanis, Afro-Caribbeans, Africans in Britain? And what are the sort of causes of those differences if they exist? Are there differences in values, differences in economic circumstances, differences in group identity? Again, it's a question of both unpacking the group and also unpacking the reasons why the different parts of the group might be different. And then finally, the last thing I would advise you to really think about here again is party strategies. This is a course where we think about how parties respond to social changes in an attempt to win over voters and win over elections. So what are the possible strategies available to the Conservative Party or to the Republican Party in response to this social issue that they face? Which ones might they try and pursue? Which ones might be more plausible or less plausible as a possible solution to these problems? And why might one or another strategy be the way to go? So you're going to want to assess what the parties can do as well as the nature of the problem.